What's going on, everybody? Another watch list. Time to do some review of the stock market. Make a plan going into tomorrow and get prepared so we can trade said plans. So I will share what I have on watch and what I'm looking to do. And if you guys see trades in that, that's up to you. A little rhyme. Didn't even mean to. So no trades for me today. As laid out in the watch list yesterday, um, I was up this morning scanning pre-market. I saw a couple kind of potential ideas. Sophie was one of them, where it was running up into an earnings announcement, which is sometimes a sell the news event. And we got a bit of a gap off of it into market open that led to some failed fall through action once it started to fail sub VWAP here in the 1420s. I contemplated this entry here in the mid 1420s. I just ended up not taking it. It wasn't. If I took a loss on it coming into today without a plan and then trading something like this that's a bit subpar, it did work out perfectly. The 4 EMA on the daily was right around 13 and it pulled back to prior green and red levels. So it played out the way it should, but if it hadn't and I took a loss on this wouldn't have been where I wanted to deploy capital. So I just decided against that one. And then HTZ was the only other opportunity. I saw potential that once we had this failed breakout, I figured longs were stuck on the wrong side. And that little 8 breakdown interested me. I figured that was a stop level for a bunch of people. So once it kind of gave up this trend here in the 8s, it set that morning low rather quickly and then had a little bouncing ball set up. And right around here, I contemplated it, but again, it wasn't a plan coming into today. I just kind of noticed it with how it was gapping and trading off the open. Would have been more of a reactive opportunity and not really a needle mover, so to speak. David Hanlon talks about needle movers. And sure, could have made some money, but would it have moved the needle? Probably not much. But if I can try and prepare for, the next pony that comes around or some sort of big setup that really moves the account. So all in all, without rambling on too much more, that was just me saying no trade day, even though there was a couple opportunities. Going into watches for tomorrow, SEP continues to hold lower highs and higher lows. So I think it needs to break the prior day's channel one way or another for it to pick trend. Whether that's over this 35 resistance or under this $30 support, I don't know, but we'll see where we're coming into tomorrow. Kind of looks a bit like JNVR, how it trades, where you get these couple days and then let it pick a trend. And I think we could be here, possibly on SEP tomorrow. So I'll keep that on watch for a possible 35 break and then look to join that trend, risking lows a day. Pony still keeping on watch just because it's a percent gainer but no real immediate plan. Omex, I think I'm going into this one prepared for two scenarios. We either get this higher low breakdown in 130 starts to fail to fall through, or it continues to hold up and break through these 160s. My conviction would be more on the breakout side of things, given the fundamental thesis with their shelf offering coming out, registration, and if they can get to the 260s, they open up Rule IB6 and can dilute the whole thing. So if it starts to break out, I think they're running that game plan. So I would prefer to see it to consolidate and re-break out, but see where we're at in the coming days. Weight Watcher, this one's still going higher. Hasn't closed red. It did go red on Friday. Was it Friday? Monday? Tuesday, Monday. Yeah, today's Tuesday. This would have been on Friday last week. Ran on Thursday, gapped into Friday, pulled red but held, and then we got a nice big gap up on a press release this morning here in pre-market just before the open, and spent the whole day consolidating. So tons of volume traded up here, you can see, compared to the prior days. So for now, it is gapping up after hours. The close was on this little week close down here in the low 70s. So for now is gapping up. If this starts to fail 70, 75, I think there's enough people underwater that we could pull back to prior support towards like 50 cents. What I would prefer is for those 70s to act as support and get this thing to go 1+, run for another day, and I'd prefer to trade this short side on Thursday. But if the trade presents itself, it is up 3 days in a row from sub 20 up to $1, so it is extended. The 4 EMA is in the 40s, so there is a range to the downside. I just prefer it to be a better op and look for it to run higher. What's going on, Golan? Good to see you. Good to see you. AGMH got smoked off the open. Complete sell side bias off the open, but I'm just going to keep it on watch in case it wants to re-break out. I had mentioned yesterday this was just too cheap. Over 15 cents is a bit better percentage-wise. So I'll see if this consolidates and reshapes up. But for now, just a back burner, set some price alerts. No real reason to watch. MBOT. This one here has run multiple times in the past with like multi-day runs. If you've traded for any extended period of time, it likes to get going. Gap and go day 2, gap and go, multiple days. That was a one and done. There's a gap and go. Some more volume, let's see. Run, gap. And then this one did run, but this one failed day 2. But it hasn't gone anywhere in terms of the daily chart, and it's starting to build. I don't know if we can look here. The daily's fairly clear, but it might give a... Let's see... Come on. There we go. So you can see, like, when it runs up quick, it likes to reset. Runs up quick, likes to reset. Sets this big base, and then re-breaks, comes back, and tests prior resistance as now support, and starts to push up back into looking left levels. So an early entry would be playing this little micro breakout here that's been consolidating and flagging for a few days. The odds on it breaking out through those 330s, I think, is low. Playing the breakout here. So I think that would be like the risk reward play, but low odds, where if I wait for like a 3 and 330s break, then it might be a higher odds, but a lesser risk reward. So I think personally, I would prefer just to stay comfortable and let it do its thing. Maybe bring in some volume, maybe a press release, start to hold up closer to its highs, and maybe get one of these multi-day runs. You can see the days that it does run, it has increased volume, and we're just not there yet. So if it starts to push 280s, 3s, and has some volume and a press release, it might be something to join, but just putting it on radar because I think the chart's shaping up pretty decent. And then ABVE, this one just hit scan here. Put out some, what they call it, like preliminary finances or something. It's like an early release of some earnings information. The daily is starting to speed up here. I believe they alerted or put it out, the press release, somewhere around here. So it brought in some volume and trend is continuing higher. No play on it right now, but if this were to, skip maybe up to the 180s, 220s, something like that, I think it could have a pullback trade potential. But for now, just keeping it on radar, just because it's hitting scan and has a nice little curl on the daily. Can you explain what is it about the 4 EMA that makes it more valuable as an indicator in making your decision? Yeah, so the 4 EMA, I can throw on I have it on my, I might be able to just show that other chart actually. It's the daily chart. If I can, streaming thing. Here we go. The daily, and I'll just make it. I'll just make the chart a bit bigger here so you can see. Hopefully you can read that. So the 4 EMA is this yellow line, and then these ones are the 10 and 20. It's labeled over here. So I have these on the daily chart, and then I have the 50 and the 200 on there. I just have them shut off right now, just as I'm scanning small caps, because they're usually top left to bottom right. The 50 and the 200 kind of skew and shrink the daily chart. So when I'm scanning, I don't keep them on, but when I'm trading like those large caps or big picture, I like having the 50 and the 200. So I have the 4, the 10, the 20, the 50, and the 200. But a question regarding the 4 EMA, it was mentioned by Superman, Paul Scolardi, years ago in like 2019 or so when I had started. And he was using it for his big picture swing ideas, and he was buying dips versus this 4 EMA and using it as a guide for his long entries. And he was buying like names that had gone on a move, pulled back to this EMA, and then started to form a base and build off of it. So I was like, if he's buying the dips on these multi-day runners and I'm looking to short these multi-day runners, why wouldn't that be a possible cover spot for me? So then Tim Lento started kind of testing it and using it as a cover spot for his first red day shorts, and it had a really good hit rate, like 8 out of 10 times. So you can see something like HTZ where you get a 2-day move, and then this first red day, the morning pullback was right to that yellow line. We had AREC, I think it was, 2 days of run, first red day, pulls back right to that 4 EMA. Let's see what Pony did. I don't think it hit it that day. Very close. Within, 5-10 cents. So you get that multi-day move and it pulls back right towards that 4 EMA. So that's the significance of it for me, is I use it for first red day cover targets. Initially got it brought to my attention by a long trader, and I just kind of morphed it into my own. When you hear people say like you take bits and pieces from everybody and make it your own style, and I think that's what that was I heard that from 2 traders. One was a short trader, one was a long trader, and I kind of morphed it into how I could use it in my trading, and I keep it on there. It gives me an unbiased cover spot. I don't always make it there. I'm a bit trigger happy on the covers, but it's something I'm working on to be a bit more patient, have like objective cover ideas. Like something like Pony, for example. When I was in, out on this red day, like I was covering, shorting every like few minutes. And I zoomed out and I had like this really good entry. And I'm like, if I just trailed it to a prior 5-minute bar high, I would have got stopped out right here, 750. Would have made like $2 a share and just not had to do anything. It would have been an easy trade. Probably would have made more. Would have had full size instead of going in and out a bunch of times, and just let the trade work for me instead of me working the trade. So I've been testing that, doing like a prior bar high, whether it's a 2-minute, 5-minute, 15-minute, something like that. And then I try and use the 4 EMA as like the big like final potential for cover spots. How long would you say something like CEP or HTZ would you say one should wait for it to break out? I'm horrible at breakouts. I either botch the trade or just watch it fade and waste time. How long for it to break out? Basically, I don't have much. So I need like, in terms of a breakout, I need at least 1 day of consolidation. And then I can look for a breakout. But like something like HTZ, I was watching this to reset up for a breakout until it failed 8. So it's not so much a time thing for me. It's looking left at key levels. And so something like Eric, for example, this one, if this fails 90 cents, I'm no longer watching it for a breakout. But if this wants to hold up here between 90 and 140 for 6 months and then break out, have at it. I'll still trade that. I've got price alerts set on this. So something like HTZ, I'm no longer watching this for a breakout because it's broken that $8. At first, 8.20 was the level I was using. It dipped below, and $8 was still close enough that it was still holding up, and we had this higher low trend. So I was waiting for 8 to fail, and once 8 fails, that's a short trigger, because now everybody who is in and anticipating the breakout is going to have to stop out, and you get that sell side imbalance. So shorts come in, longs start to cut their losses. So for me, it's more of like a price and levels thing, not so much a time thing. So I would wait weeks, month plus, looking for a breakout. So something like SEP, if this starts to fail 29, 30, then I'd probably take it off radar from a breakout idea. But if this were to consolidate between 35 and 30 for another day, 2 days, I'm not going to take it off radar because it's still channeling. So I keep it on as long as trend is intact, basically until the thesis is proven incorrect, and that it probably shouldn't work. So yeah, it's more of a levels thing than a time thing. But once it's failing, there's other people that are in the trade already and that need to unwind their positions once their thesis fails. So if you feel like you're wasting time watching it, like something like Dollar Tree, for example, if you recall, I was watching this for a 61 breakdown. So it pulled back and I was looking for this to come back and retest, and it started setting this flag. This 74.75 break was just as good of a long entry as it was me looking for a short trade. The short trade on this break was proven incorrect. The thesis on it, I wasn't in it short. But the thesis that I was looking for was proven incorrect. Once it pulled, set higher lows, flagged, and broke out. Now I'm no longer watching this for a breakdown trade. But when I'm no longer watching it for a breakdown trade, there's also shorts in there that now need to stop out, and you get momentum buyers coming in. So if you feel like you're wasting time, maybe look to take the other side of that trade once it's proving invalid. So HTZ, if you're looking for these wicks to get absorbed in that breakout, but then the breakout fails and 8 starts to fail to follow through, maybe join that trend for a fader. Someone said yesterday, I think that Bill Ackman plays Spike and could get in a channel for months like Fannie Mae. Was it you that said it? That was, I think it was Kyle Williams, I think, had said that, because yeah, he's in Fannie Mae, and since he's alerted it hasn't done much. I think they've got earnings tomorrow, Fannie Mae. But I believe it was Kyle. I had heard him mention something about that and compare it. But yeah, oops. I had this chart up still. When I was going over that explanation, I was pointing at my other chart that I usually have, that I'm usually sharing. So hopefully that I was pointing at this one on my screen. So hopefully the explanation still made sense. My bad. If it didn't, I can show what I was kind of going over. But I was talking about HTZ. I was talking about SEP between 35 and 30. I was talking about Dollar Tree through this flag. Okay, it did. Okay. My bad. But yeah, I think Kyle was probably the one you heard talking about Fannie Mae and stuff. Maybe on Wine Wednesday or something. But yeah, I don't really have much of a play on Hertz at this point. I'll probably take it off my watch list. Set some price alerts up at like $8.50, $9, and just forget about it. So, main watches tomorrow is probably WW. It's probably my main watch. I like the way this trades. It's fairly tight, very liquid, and in that price range I like, around $1. I like the $1, $2 names. Really comfy for me, get some size behind it. When they trade thick, not so much swipey action. So WW is probably my main watch. And then I've got like Omex on watch. I've got SEP on watch as probably like my other two. And then keep an eye on MBOT and ABVE. So probably WW, Omex, and SEP, I think, are probably my top 3. Anything else you guys are watching? Oh, excuse me. Nothing else coming through, so I think we can probably wrap it up there. I don't know how long we went, but I think it was good enough. Somewhere around 15-20 minutes, I'm sure. But yeah, I've got nothing else to touch on, so thank you guys for tuning in. Good couple questions. I appreciate you guys chit-chatting as always. It's typically the usual suspects in here. I haven't really been pushing it or posting it on Twitter or anywhere lately, so not as surprised that it's the usuals that keep coming back, but I appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great end to your April. And I believe last day tomorrow, I think. But May's this week, nonetheless. So close out the month strong, and I will see you guys on the next watch list. Peace.